So a woman gets engaged to a man by the name of David just a few weeks after getting to know him. And shortly after they get married, she begins receiving a number of calls from women ready to jump through the phone and get in touch with David. These women are very interested in David romantically, and the wife begins to wonder at this point, rightfully, is David cheating on me? What the hell is going on with my new husband, David? May I speak to David? The sultry voiced woman said on the other end of the phone. Reluctantly, I handed my new husband the phone, which he quickly hung up. Wrong number, he said. A few hours later, it rang again, another woman. I dusted near the phone so I could eavesdrop. Did my seemingly loyal husband have a double life? Another wrong number, he said. I believed him until the phone rang at 3 a.m. and then at 4. The calls became more regular at all hours of the day and night. David was really going to town, evidently whenever his wife wasn't around. She said it got so common, I was no longer surprised when the phone rang and the breathy voices on the other end of the line morphed into sighs of disappointment. He always got off the phone exasperated. Or was it an act? This woman was obviously becoming very paranoid, but yet somehow she had abstained from a more direct line of questioning from her husband, David, who again, 24/7 was getting calls from women, and he seemed like a good dude. He seemed like a loyal guy. So when he says they have the wrong number for this David, she took him at his word. I mean, why not? I took messages when he was out, she wrote. Desiree, Brandy, Jill. In some cases, they were testy when I said he wasn't there. One woman started crying. We were together just yesterday. This is what the woman wrote in an op-ed for the Washington Post. Where, I demanded. In Soho, she said. I thought about this. My husband worked at a midtown law firm during the day, or so he told me. Maybe he wasn't a lawyer. Maybe he wasn't working at the law firm. Maybe he was in Soho with these babes. Had I made a terrible mistake? My friends were right. I didn't even know him. Maybe our relationship was all a curse. I'd heard stories of people getting married only to realize their spouse had a double life. Are we talking about the same David? Tall, blonde, and handsome, she added sarcastically. Are you going to tell me I have the wrong number? I'm looking at the note he wrote me now. 212, she read the number. It was definitely ours. At this point, the alarm bells should be going off that this woman, her husband David, is definitely going out to Soho with these chicks. She needs to go with them to work to make sure he's not going anywhere. I was confused and hurt. Instead of hearing the female caller's voices on the phone, I heard only the unheeded warnings of my friends clanking in my head. After all, she had just gotten married to this dude or engaged after just a few weeks of knowing him. So evidently she was really shy. She didn't want to go up to this guy. She didn't want to go up to her husband and confront him about this and have that conversation. But she said, what's really going on? I finally mustered up the courage to confront him. Wrong numbers usually don't ask for you by name, but David was just as confounded as I was, at least he appeared to be. Finally, a man called. Sorry, he's at work, I said. All work should go through me, he spat. I wasn't sure how law firms allocated cases, but apparently David was doing it wrong. I began to take a message. Who are you, she asked. I've known David for years, he shot back. The real question is, who are you? He had a point. I was the new addition. I wanted love so badly, but I ignored any inconvenient details, like barely knowing the man I married. I'm his wife. Silence for a beat, then two. Why didn't he tell me about you? The man exploded. I'll be right over, he said. Don't talk to anyone. We have to fix this. I am not a problem to be fixed, she said. Are you? He paused. Pregnant? Expecting a little David Lee? A kid will really hurt your comeback. Lee, I asked. My husband's middle name is Austin. What comeback? I know my client's middle name. Client, I asked. I'm talking about David French, the attorney. I'm talking about David Lee Roth, the singer. Apparently, this woman and her husband had the same number, the former phone number of none other than Van Halen frontman David Lee Roth. And those women calling were chicks that David Lee Roth was apparently hooking up with, or were getting his old number somehow, desperately trying to contact him, which this woman is now sharing the hilarious experience decades later of spending literally weeks wondering who these women were calling around the clock. And if you knew David Lee Roth back then, evidently he was a man of the people. She said later, at one point we even fielded a call from Roth's dad, but during the short time it took for David Lee Roth to transition to a new telephone number, I started to doubt the man I married. How precarious love is, I thought back then. Surprising, it turned out to be quite resilient. Fortunately, she closed with, I'm very glad that when I was 20, I made the decision to marry the rank stranger. so it has a very happy ending. They're still together, but it is a very funny story about what happens when you can get someone's old phone number. There was actually a story a few years ago about somebody who had Fred Durst's old phone number and where he would get random nu metal phone calls all the time. This is from Vice in 2016. He said he figured it out probably the 5th phone call I received. I ended up talking to one of the guitarists from Gwar, and I talked for about 5 minutes before I was able to convince him that I wasn't Fred, and he told me exactly who Fred was. I'm pretty sure Durst is a pretty private guy. Everyone who calls him doesn't believe me that I'm not him, which makes me think that he pranks people a bit. The calls are usually pretty straight up. His old manager's calling me to ask opinions on different perspective ideas, party invites, the occasional, we're going to New York, you should go. Recently, I've been getting phone calls from France and Belgium as well. Apparently, he travels a bit. When asked if he had any messages he wanted to pass on to Fred Durst, he added, Vanilla Ice says, what's up, Ninja? Your old tour manager wants to take you out to lunch. Some producer wants your idea for a 4-girl group. I say do it. Belgium misses you. France says they love you and miss you too. So in this situation, it's a much lighter scenario playing out. We see both sides of it here. Anyways, do you have any strange stories about a celebrity like this? Let me know in the comments down below. And be sure to subscribe to Rockfeed with notifications on so you don't miss out on breaking news and updates. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you all very soon. I hope you guys have a very happy new year.